Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to record a macro that's going to save all objects on every page as a separate CDR file. I'm going to be using X4, but this will be almost exact to X5 and X6. It should be the same. If you're running into any trouble, you're going to have to debug. First thing I'm going to do, Tools, Customization here. I'm going to go to Command Bars. I'm going to enable my Macros toolbar, and I'm going to put it over here on the corner. This is a very handy toolbar if you work with macros a lot. Okay, let's get started. Let's press record here and wait for the dialog to pop up. Macro name, I'll just leave it macro 1. And where do you want to put it? Well, I don't want to put it in the graphic 1 because that's VBA code that is embedded in the document you are working with. It's saved in the document you are working with, and if you close that document, that code is not available. I'm just going to click cancel real quick and see what options I have. Global macros. These are Corel macros. I don't want to put it in there. I'm going to close and make a GMS file real quick. You guys can follow along in my other videos that show you how to do this if you want to make a GMS file. Tools, folder options. This would be app data in newer versions of Draw. I have a video out that shows you how to create your separate GMS file. So I should be showing the extension there. This is how you make a separate GMS file, and like I said, I have a video on my YouTube. You can subscribe to YouTube that shows you how to do that, so I'm just not going to go into detail about that. Well, I'm going to press record. Where do I want to store it? We didn't name that GMS yet. Let me go back. My macro. I'm just going to name it real quick. My macro. And that's also in that first video. Okay, record. Where do you want to put it? I want to put it in my macro with this name. I'm going to click OK. And that's it. I'm recording right now. The code that is being generated here is being generated live. If you were to open the VBA Editor and watch the code, you could put it on a separate window on computer monitor and you'll see the code generated live. I'm just going to put some squares. I'm going to Control C. I'm going to create a new document page, or a new page, my bad. Make this one yellow, green, yellow. Okay, we got 2 pages, and we want to save each item as a separate CDR file using our recorded macro. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to page 1, and I'm going to save this. Let's save it as, let's say we want to save it as a version 12 also. We don't want to embed fonts, anything like that. Where am I going to put it? Let's just put it in my documents for now. Hit save, and I recorded that, so now I can choose stop on the macro toolbar, open my VBA editor, go to my macro, go to modules, and you'll see a new module there that says recorded macros. Double click to open it, and you'll see the code that you recorded. Okay, we have to modify this code. So we're not going to need any of this stuff here where we created a shape. We created the squares. I should have pressed record after creating the squares. Basically, all we're going to need is the save part. This is the save options, and here's the options here. Filter CDR. I'm going to just change this to AutoSense. And I probably recommend you're going to do that also if you're going to be saving items on the page. Let's see, we got range all pages. I'm going to go backspace here, and when I press the equal sign, it brings up the IntelliSense, and I'm going to change that to selection. And you press tab, or let's see, embed CC profile false version. We want to save it as a 12, and we want to save it here. So let's get started adding some stuff to this. So what are we going to need? We're going to need GMS as shape. That's an object variable, and then SR as, and I'll explain this in a little bit more depth later. We're going to dim, let's make a long value. That is the same as going as long, which I could also do. And let's make a string. So I'll go string name, and this will be the file name, which we'll want to change. So we'll increment the file name 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. And I could do that for the shorthand, or I can go as string. And I think that's everything. Oh, we're going to do all pages, so let's go dim p as page. Okay, I think I got everything this time. Okay, on our struct save options, we'll leave those at the top. And we'll begin looping through the pages. So I got some object variables here. We're going to do a simple for each loop. So you go for each P in, and then I press Control J on my keyboard, active document. I press tab, dot, until since comes up again. I can press PA, pages, and then I'll end the loop, next P. Now I want to put this inside that loop, but we need to make another loop inside that. So for each P, we'll go P activate. So we're looping through the pages. Each time through this loop, it activates the page. And we'll show that in more detail when we do it. Let's make a new loop, and for each item on the page that's activated, for each S in SR. Next S. Okay, we're saving the selection, so we do want to go s.createSelection. So each time through the loop, S will change, and then S, the method createSelection here, will get activated on each particular shape. Okay, next thing we want to do is we're going to want to save it. So I'm going to move this, Control X, Control V. Move this over a little so you can see. That path is so long. Well, we're going to need to change the name. So let's just remove this here. Actually, just remove the graphic one part. And I'll close this string off. So now this is one string. And then we're going to concatenate it. And we do that with an AND. And then we're going to go string name. And then we're going to go and concatenate that with the .cdr. And you see what we did. We got a string, and a string, and a string. And it's going to save that. That's the first parameter, is save as. If I put my cursor here and press space, it'll show me the arguments that this function takes. It needs the file name, and then optionally, because you see square brackets, optionally the structured save options, which we have defined up here in a with statement. Okay, I think we got everything. So let's modify string name right above it before it saves. I'm going to tab that back over. So string name equals, and we'll call that, what do we want to call our file? So I'll just call them mySave underscore, and there we go with that. And then we're going to concatenate I. So let's give I a value. I declared it as a long. I would equal 0 if I didn't say I equals 1. I would equal 0 because the default for the long is 0. But I'm going to make it 1. So the first time it runs through, mySave, the file name will be called mySave underscore 1. And after a successful save, right after the save, we want to increment I. So we go I equals I plus 1. Okay, what else can we do to this macro? One thing I like to do on my macros is go Control J, events, turn off events. This turns off my application events, so if I'm debugging and I have a lot of other macros that are using events, it doesn't debug into that event code. And then we re-enable the events there. And I think that's everything. Let's give it a test and see if it works. I'm just going to hit run and see what happens. Okay, debug for each SNSR. Let's see, we got, what did it say? Object required. Okay. Can anyone guess what we did wrong? Take a guess. When we're on that page, we activated, but we did not set our shape range. So we go set SR equal Control J on our keyboard, active document dot shapes dot all. That's what we did wrong. And you're going to run into bugs every time you write a macro, and it's just normal. Even the best of, I don't care who you are, you're going to run into it. So if we go right back up here, drag that arrow back, we can, almost like we never had a bug in the first place or error in the first place. Now that we set SR, so I'll press F8 on my keyboard. Oops. Active page. My bad. It's active page. Shapes all, not active document. I'll press F8. We're in there. And if you wanted to check this out on your view, we can go our locals window. You can see SR, and you can see its count. It has 2 shapes. Because we're on that page with SR activated, it has 2 shapes. And I'm going to continue running the macro. So let's go to our path. And let's check out my documents. We should have, oh, there they are. So let's run it in slow motion, just to kind of redo everything here. Try to get those over here. Let's shrink this window down a little, even though it hardly can be shrunk down anymore, huh? Okay, we got a fresh macro here. Let's run it. I'm going to run it slow with F8 on my keyboard. We're in it. We're about to set our save options. Auto sense. You can change these options however you like. Version 12, you could change it to 10, 9, whatever you want. And you could even look at save options down here in your locals window. And you can check out all the properties that save options has, and the ones that we set ourselves. Okay, now we're going to disable events, which helps for debugging. So if an error happened and you're in the code, it's not going to take you to some other module, some other project somewhere in debug mode, and you'll be like, hey, where am I? Oh, I'm in event code for some other macro. So I just disabled them here with false, and we'll re-enable them later when we finish the macro. Okay, we're going to set I equal 1. I would be 0. Because the default for a long is 0 if we don't initialize it. We initialized it with 1. Continue. For each P in active document.pages, we're going to loop through all the pages. Okay, we're in the loop, and we're going to activate the first page. Boom, first page has a blue and a red shape. Now, since we're in this page, we're going to make another loop, and we're going to loop through all the shapes in the shape range. And we set that shape range to equal active page.shapesAll. So that shape range, if we look at your locals window, has 2 shapes. And as we go through this loop again to the second page, you'll see what happens again. It resets SR to the page 2, all shapes. So it'll have 2 shapes in the second page. So let's go. We'll see S create selection. We're in the loop. The first S happened to be the red shape. We're going to get string name. If I hover my mouse over string name, you can see as soon as you pass that line of code in your debugger, you'll see the name of the shape, mySave1. We concatenated it with the and. So we got a string and the I. Now we have one string, mySave_1. And now we're going to do the save. When I press F8 again, we saved it. And if we go here, we'll see number 1 is saved. And we're going to increment I because we had a successful save. And then next S, we're going to go back through the loop. S has now became the next shape in the shape range. S, create selection. You can see it's the next shape. Save it as well. Hover my mouse above I. I is 2. We just saved it as string name, which is my save, and 2. We incremented. I is now 3. We're finished with all the shapes in this shape range that we're looping through, so we're exiting the loop. We're done with that. So now we're still in the P loop, and I'm pressing F8. Now we're on the next page, P activate. Same deal. Selection save, re-enable events, done. And that's how you can save all of your shapes on all of your pages as separate CDR files. And I hope you like the lesson, and I hope it's helpful to you. See you later and have a nice day.